The pick and roll is obviously one of the most well-known basketball moves. And today we are going to be looking at all things pick and roll. We're going to be looking at drills to master and teach the pick and roll to your teams, or these drills can just be used to help your team enhance their current pick and roll skills. So let's take a deep dive into everything pick and roll today. We're going to start to teach and enhance your team's pick and roll. All right, so this first drill, let's take a look at it. Okay, so we are going to have a line right here with the basketballs, okay? And then we're also going to have somebody right here around the center of the floor, around the 3 point line, and they are going to be the screener. Now, we're going to have a coach stand right here around the free throw line, and they're just going to mimic a defender being there, right? So we're going to pretend that we have a defender here. Basically, with this drill, we're going to teach the athletes how to run a pick and roll. It's as simple as that, right? And all we're going to have being done is a simple screen. They're going to roll to the basket, and this coach is going to act here as a sample defender, and we're going to hit the roller for a bounce pass. So this is a very basic drill, something that you can use to replace your layups. Maybe if you're just running layup drills with your athletes, you can throw something like this in there to enhance it and maybe teach some new skills as well. So let's take a look at exactly how this would work. So we're going to have this player dribbling the ball. It's going to be mimicking our point guard, right? This is the person in this line. And as that's happening, we're going to have number one right here come and set a screen for number two. Okay, number two is coming off that screen. We're going to teach them to be super tight, okay, to that screener, almost bumping shoulders on the way. Okay, so as number two comes off that screen, they're then going to penetrate the middle. So we're going to have number two begin to penetrate the middle. So they're going to start driving around where this coach is right here. Now, as that is happening, obviously the number one is opening up and rolling to the basket. Okay, so we want number two to kind of dribble toward our coach. Our coach has their hands up nice and wide to mimic a potential defender. And then number two is going to hit number one with a pass or roller, probably in this situation, a bounce pass. And number one is going to go up for the layup. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at this again. Let's have these folks reset. Okay, we're going to have number two here. Let's reset it. So number three has the basketball. They're mimicking our point guard. Number two is now going to come and set that screen here for number three, right? Number three with the basketball is coming off of that screen. Okay, now what are we going to have happen? Number two is going to roll to the basket. Number three is going to penetrate, okay, toward the coach right here. We're going to have number two roll, and we are going to have number three hit them with a bounce pass. Number two goes up for the layup. Okay. So number three came from this line, right? Came off the screen. Now number three is going to become the screener, and the person that was originally the screener and then ended up rolling and coming up for the layup, they will then go to the back of the next line. So number two will get the basketball, they'll go to the back of the line. Okay. And the balls are going to be up here as well.
All right, folks, I need to quickly stop right there before we move into our next topic to mention that right now, 97.1% of our daily viewers are not subscribed to our channel. So that means if you are one of these people, if you are one of these 97.1% who are not currently subscribed but are watching this video, it would be greatly appreciated if you could take the time real quick to hit that subscribe button. It will help us continue to make content like this, continue to make basketball plays for other coaches, basketball drills for other players, and basketball, everything that both players and coaches and organizations alike can use. So again, if you could really quickly take the time to hit that subscribe button, it'll just take 2 seconds. It would be greatly appreciated. But moving on to our next topic.
All right, here is another pick and roll drill. This one is another great drill to replace layup lines, right? So often as coaches with youth basketball teams, we'll throw in layup lines and get the athletes to warm up that way. But we have to think to ourselves, is that teaching a concept, right? We're working on layups, yes, but are we teaching something else while working on those layups? And that is a point that we want to get to as basketball coaches, is that we're teaching a skill, we're working on our basics, yes, our fundamentals, yes, but we're also teaching a new skill in there as well for the athletes to continue to improve. And that's what we're going to do with this one. We're going to line up as if we're in a basic layup drill, but we're also going to continue to work on our pick and roll. So as you can see here, we're lined up like we're in a basic layup drill, right? If this was a basic layup drill, this would be our layup line, this would be our rebound line. But that's not exactly what we're doing right now. Okay, we're going to start the basketballs here on the left side if we're going to be working on right-hand layups. but because we're going to be doing this through a pick and roll. Okay, so number 4 is going to pass the ball to number 1 through a chest pass. Okay, and as that is done, number 4 is going to sprint over here and they're going to set a screen for number 1. Okay, so they're sprinting over there, setting a screen for number 1. And number 1 is going to rip through and come off that screen nice and tight, and they're going to drive middle. Okay, so number 1 with the basketball, they're coming off that screen, they're doing it nice and tightly. Again, you want to push the idea that we want to bump shoulders with our offensive teammate, our screener, and then we're going to penetrate the middle. And then as that happens, number 4 then is going to roll. So number 4 is rolling to the basket. We're going to hit number 4 with a pass, and then number 4 is going up for the layup. Okay, then we're going to switch lines. So number 1 will come over here. Number 4 will get the rebound, feed it to the basketball line, and then number 4 will come and fill the back of the other line. Okay, so again, with this particular drill, we're working on passing, right? We're working on our basic layups, right? It's a great warm up drill, maybe before games or practices, but we're also working on that pick and roll, right? We're also adding in a skill in there that we want to see. Okay, so again, we'll take a look at it again. Number 5 is going to feed the ball here to number 2. They're going to come over and set that screen here for number 2, right? Number 2 is coming off that screen with the basketball. They're going to penetrate toward the middle of the floor. While that happens, number 5 is going to roll, right? We're going to hit number 5 with a pass. Okay, and then number 5 is going to go up for that layup, and then they will switch lines. Okay, so this is a great one, like I said, to replace your basic layup lines, but also get your athletes working on something. All right, folks, so there we have it. Those are the pick and roll drills that we have to discuss in this video. I think the big key with pick and roll is if you're teaching this to a young team, really start basic, right? Show them a few times how to do a pick and roll, right? Through, using your coaching staff to do so. But then you want to start with really basic drills like this, right? And I'm sure you're probably thinking, I want to complicate it. I want to, continue doing this. But with pick and roll, right, and when you're dealing with youth athletes, you want to keep things basic. You want to keep them, just focusing on the fundamentals. So, maybe a plan to do this and teach your pick and roll is, maybe not spend one practice on it and, keep pushing the idea and, hope that they'd have it after that one practice. But maybe, if you're a young team or even if you're an older youth team and, you're still trying to enforce those fundamentals, start every practice doing layups this way, right? Incorporating these 2 drills, incorporating these as your warm up. And, instead of just having, someone doing layups, or your 2 layup line, your rebound line, or whatever, warm up you might be doing as an active warm up, do something like this, right? Continue, focusing on your layups, but doing it through, pick and roll, right? Maybe it's, we do a regular layup line and we make, 20 layups as a team, and then we do it this way and we make, 20 layups through a pick and roll, right? So it's, we want to keep enforcing those concepts without shoving it down their throat. So they do this drill, once every, week to start practice. By week 3 or week 4, your team's going to have this, figured out, and they're going to understand through muscle memory how to do a pick and roll. So that's my rundown of a pick and roll. Hope everyone enjoyed it, and let me know if there's any topics that you'd like us to focus on next.
All right, folks, that is all we have for today's particular topic. If you made it this far into today's lesson, it is greatly appreciated. Now, if you guys could also do me a huge favor and like this video and subscribe to our channel, it would also be greatly appreciated. We are the Online Basketball Academy. My name is Coach Danny, and I continuously upload different basketball plays, basketball systems, basketball tactics, and basketball drills that youth basketball players or training basketball players can use or basketball coaches can use with their players and their teams. Like I said, folks, if you could take the time to like this video and subscribe to our channel so I can continue to make this type of content for you all, that would be greatly appreciated. Till next time, peace out.